next week. And although we have the Super Bowl, which I know a lot of people throughout our country will be watching, there's a lot of people in this room who, when next week rolls around, are going to appreciate some of the best words in American language, pitchers and catchers report. And so we're looking forward to spring training starting. Now, this area is a great place for baseball. I'm somebody that grew up right across the bay in Pinellas County, and we were blessed to have a lot of spring training teams. When I was growing up, I was in Dunedin. We had the Blue Jays. You go down the street, the Phillies in Clearwater. We did not yet have the Yankees in Tampa at that time. They were still in Fort Lauderdale. They came over in the 90s, I think the mid-90s. We had Bradenton, Lakeland, some of these other areas. And so that was really neat to be able to see. But we did not have a professional team of our own. And so there was a lot of work to be able to get that done. Some people that grew up here in that time or lived in that time remember for about a week or two, we had the San Francisco Giants had agreed to move here, and then that changed. And so they worked very hard to get an expansion team, which debuted, of course, in 1998 at now Tropicana Field. And so that team has now been a part of the community. You know, there's been great baseball product from time to time put out, no question. They've produced some great players. They've had some great runs. But there's also just been some growing pains with making sure that this franchise was something that was really viable for the long term. And Commissioner Manfred, who's here with us, you know, he came to Tallahassee. We had a meeting about a year and a half ago, and he basically reiterated to me, he's like, look, we're committed to being in Florida. This is an important state. The state's growing so much. It would be bad luck for Major League Baseball if we couldn't succeed in a place where there's a lot of interest in baseball. But we kind of have a distressed asset, and we need a new formula to be able to make this something that could be really, really viable. And I know that at the time there was discussions about who would end up buying the team, would there be a transaction and all that, and people were very much attuned to that, and that unfolded over many, many months. But I think back when I was growing up and like what my friends or what we liked, and the amount of baseball fans compared to hockey fans was probably like 20-1, right? There weren't necessarily like a lot of hockey, and yet you've seen what they've been able to do with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've now created something that they sell out the games. People get excited about going, and this was in an area where you didn't necessarily have a lot of natural interest in hockey. And then I run into parents with their kids. They're now playing leagues, hockey leagues, and they're doing all this stuff. And so you've seen that's a great blueprint for how sports can succeed in Tampa Bay. You know, you think about Major League Baseball, the commissioner and I were talking about it. You know, when I was growing up, they still considered baseball to be the national pastime. For those of us who love the game, we still say it. But if you look at the most popular sport in America is the NFL. Of the 100 highest rated TV shows in 2025, I think 85 of them were NFL games. And so they kind of have a built-in, it's part of American culture, people are watching those games. But if you look at what Major League Baseball's done over the last few years with this great World Series that we just had, obviously you have the best player who also gets the entire nation of Japan watching, which also helps drive interest. It was really, really exciting. And I think baseball's in a really good spot now. I think they have a lot of momentum going forward, and that could be something that, of course, you know, this area could capitalize on. You know, you look at the youth baseball in this area, some of the best youth baseball in the United States of America. You look at some of the people that have been produced here, Hall of Famers like Wade Boggs and Fred McGriff. Baseball's very much in the DNA of this area. And, you know, I think back, so there's a lot that goes into what's going to happen to the franchise. But part of the thing that I think about is just as someone who grew up here, you know, are the kids going to have a team that they can really get excited about and grow up with? Because I think baseball is a unique thing to have, you know, as a young kid. And I'm reminded of a quote that a very famous Hall of Famer made who spent a lot of time just north of here up in Citrus County, Ted Williams, said when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He said, baseball gives every American boy a chance to excel, not just to be as good as somebody else, but to be better than somebody else. That is the nature of man and the nature of the game. And he was really correct about what he's doing. And it really is a unique game, especially in this day and age where it's so much about instant gratification, you know, click this, get this video when you want it. Baseball, you actually got to think a little bit. You know, you look at some of the greatest players in history, the Hank Aaron's, the Willie Mays', the Joe DiMaggio's. They were great athletes, but they were some of the smartest people that ever went on an athletic field to go out there. They understood the intricacies, and they understood it wasn't just about being able to overpower people with their athleticism. They had to think, you know, Yogi Berra was right. 90% of the game is mental. The other half is physical. Baseball also teaches young people, and sometimes it's a tough lesson, to be able to accept failure. You know, if you fail 70% in most endeavors, well, in my line of work, you're out of a job if you fail 70%. But if you fail 70% of the time at the plate, they put you in the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's a very difficult sport. Of all the things I've done, being able to hit a baseball, they say is the toughest, and I think that that's true, to be able to do it. So it's very tough. It requires, you know, obviously a lot of skills, and failure is just what happens. And so you learn to cope with that. And then the final thing that I think really is unique to baseball, and Ted Williams said this in the same Hall of Fame speech. He's like, I was not born a great hitter. No one's born a great hitter. It's hard work. You have to practice the craft and hone your skills. And there's big payoff for people that are willing to do that, particularly as young people. So part of why I'm excited about the future of the Rays is because I think it will impact families throughout this region, you know, in a very significant way. And I can simply say, and I would say this if I was a governor who had been raised in Key West or Miami or Jacksonville. I happen to be raised in Tampa Bay, but I think it's true, and I would think it was true. Baseball belongs in Tampa Bay. Baseball can succeed in Tampa Bay. And so we're here with to say that, you know, the state is going to be supporting this proposal to use this HCC location to be the site of the new stadium. And part of it is, and we'll have President Atwater come up and speak about what it means to HCC. I think it has, you know, huge upside for HCC about what could possibly happen in this area. But I also think the Rays leadership, they have really thought hard about what you need to succeed in this day and age. And the reality is, you know, like, I'm a baseball purist. I think people should just want to come watch baseball. But the reality is you do need other things to draw people. You see what they did in Atlanta, to have the shops and the restaurants and the hotels, to really make it a place where people want to be, even if they're not diehard baseball fans. And that vision is very compelling. And it's been a vision that has been created in part by studying some of the things that have happened around the country, what has worked, what's not worked. And so I was very impressed to see how they're thinking about that. That's just what you need to do. Now, I'd also say, you know, we came out and we toured this area probably a month or two ago, maybe 2 months ago, and we were walking around, and, you know, some of these buildings I helped build since I've been governor, like the medical building and some of that, and it's great. And HCC, I mean, I remember growing up, I knew a lot of people that ended up going, you know, we called it HCC then. I know they call it Hillsborough College now. But, and so I knew, but I'm walking around, and then we're driving in and around the area, and I've been I go to a Bucks game every year probably, and so I've been coming to this area a long time, but I was looking at, you know, this area could use some rejuvenation. This would be a big project for the vitality of this area right here in Tampa Bay. And I know that this would be something that would be very, very significant. And so, you know, our role here in working with Hillsborough College is this land is basically owned by the state. Hillsborough College is able to operate. You know, we're going to be conveying the land to the college, and then they'll be able to negotiate use with the Rays in ways that I think will be mutually beneficial. We do have some state buildings that are currently in use. Our Department of Juvenile Justice has a building down the road here. They were already planning on leaving, and so that's going to happen anyways, regardless of what happens with this. We also have Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Although there's not plans to leave, they've been asking to leave for a long time, so we think that that'll be a natural progression for them. And then we also own the land that's leased by the county. I believe it's their tax collector's office. That's kind of far-flung part of property, different from where they're going to have the stadium, but potentially all this could be used in a way that's going to lead to a rejuvenated Hillsborough College campus, and then an area that's going to really be an attraction, not just for baseball fans, but for people throughout the region who just want to have a good time. And we realize what we're doing by assisting with this location. That's just one piece of the puzzle. I know Patrick and the folks at the Rays are going to be working with folks at both the city and county. The one thing I can just say is the Rays, have really acted in good faith vis-a-vis Tampa Bay. I mean, because if you think about it, you have a kind of a distressed asset. You have issues with Tropicana, that lease coming up. Orlando wants this. You don't think Disney would put it in the wide world of sports? You don't think they'd want it by the Orange County Convention Center with Universal and all that? And they've been trying to get an expansion team, for a long time. They could have easily, the Rays leadership, been doing a negotiation against one city or the other. They haven't done that. They basically said, this is the Tampa Bay Rays. We want to make it work in Tampa Bay. And if we can do that, we're going to do that. And so I appreciate that. As governor, I obviously want to keep it in the state. But this is where the team was born, and I think this is where the team can succeed. So I look forward to seeing this vision ultimately become a reality. The one thing I told Pat Zalewski was, the Rays are going to be great, but, high school state championship games. I said, you got to host that. He said he'd host an SEC championship. One thing I remember is, the Red Sox at Fenway, they do a college bean pot tournament where they have BU, Northeastern, BC, Harvard. They play at Fenway Park, and they just, they play a couple games there, whatever. So I told them, you got to get, USF and some of the colleges be able to come and do that. So I think it could be something that, the community can really get involved in. And I'm just really excited, to be able to be here for this. I'm excited that there's really positive momentum for this franchise. I think there's a clear vision where this will be something that will be successful. And obviously, it needs to be successful just for the economics of the baseball, but to be successful as something that's going to make an impact on the community, both economically, but also really become embedded in part of the culture of Tampa Bay in an even more profound way. So, Commissioner, you want to come up here? The floor is yours.
Good morning. I can't tell you how pleased I am to be here in Tampa Bay. I was sitting there listening to the governor, and I think it's hard when you hear him talk about our game, talk about baseball, to miss the fact that he is a baseball guy at heart. And for those of us involved in the game, that's kind of the highest compliment. We appreciate the support, not only that you've given to this effort here in Tampa Bay, but the ongoing support that you've offered to Major League Baseball throughout the state. We really, truly do appreciate it. One thing that has been consistent during my time as commissioner was my view that Major League Baseball belongs in Tampa Bay. That support has been, I hope, clear and unwavering. The history of baseball here is really amazing. The governor talked about spring training, but, from Al Lang Stadium to George M. Steinbrenner Field, this region, the Tampa Bay region, has been a crucial part of spring training. Things took a massive step forward in 1998 when the Rays came here. The Rays enjoyed some great success on the field. And, equally important, they probably are one of, and have been one of the most innovative franchises in Major League Baseball. And that's really important to the development of our sport. And that history and tradition matters to us, and it's something that we want to continue. Within the game, there's great excitement about the new ownership group here with the Tampa Bay Rays. It's a great group. It's a big group. It's a Florida and Tampa rooted group. Really important in terms of the local presence here. I know that this group wants to make baseball a success here. They want to get a new facility built, and they want to provide a winner to the Rays fans here in the Tampa Bay region. The key to the economic success of most franchises is a partnership between the community, the local government, and the team. And I really do believe that there is a great opportunity for this new ownership group to come together with local government, the college, and form the kind of partnership that can make the Rays durable and successful here in the Tampa Bay region. So today's an important day. It's a milestone along a path that I believe will lead to the Tampa Bay Rays being a part of this community for decades to come. So thank you very much for your support, all of the local officials here, and for your willingness to engage in this important project. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Atwater?
Good morning. It is an honor to share this moment with the Governor DeSantis, Commissioner Manfield, and the new ownership group of the Rays. And it is a privilege today to represent the faculty, staff, and the more than 46,000 students who make up the college across our 5 campuses and 3 centers. 2 weeks ago, our Board of Trustees voted unanimously to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Tampa Bay Rays. That MOU authorized the college to pursue a partnership for the purpose of redeveloping the Del Mabry campus as part of a spectacular district that will include a new ballpark for the community's beloved Tampa Bay Rays. This partnership truly is the definition of a game-changing opportunity for the college. It's an opportunity to enhance the student experience, re-image the campus at the center of a dynamic mixed-use district that will inspire, uplift, and energize us all. The college will continue thriving with a new and additional options for curriculum, workforce development, internships, and much more, all in a dynamic environment where students, faculty, and staff can be successful. So to the Rays ownership group, Patrick, Bill, and Ken, we are thrilled that you have asked Hillsborough College to be a partner in your mission to serve your fans, our students, and the entire community for generations to come with a new and forever home for the Tampa Bay Rays. And please know that we look forward to working with the Rays, the city, the county, and the state, and certainly with our key stakeholders to bring this opportunity to life. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Atwater, Governor, and Commissioner. On behalf of our ownership group, many who are in the room today, thank you, everybody, for being here. We are here and they are here because we believe. We believe that the new ownership group of the Tampa Bay Rays, as stewards of this great franchise, can be successful and will be successful right here in Tampa Bay. But this is bigger than baseball. This is about building a stronger Tampa, a stronger region by reinvesting back in the community and rejuvenating a college, and creating a world-class mixed-use development and the future home of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now we're talking about more than $34 billion of economic impact to our community here in Tampa that would not be possible if it wasn't for this world-class project and partnership. We've talked about the importance of creating a workforce development program, driving jobs from the college back into the region, into the hotels, into the mixed use, into real estate, into the team. Mostly, though, we've talked about creating a fair public-private partnership alongside local government, and alongside the city and county and the state. All of us today are here for one reason, because we believe in the future of Tampa, we believe in the future of the Tampa Bay Rays, and we believe in the future of the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. Thank you for believing in us. Our ownership group, of course, includes many partners who are lifetime residents here in Tampa and Hillsborough County. We're fortunate for their passion, and often they tell me about the community's original champions who were here and are responsible for making sports one of Tampa's most special and beloved assets. We watched just across the street this weekend on the national stage on ESPN as events like Sunday's Stadium Series and what they can mean for our community, making us even more bullish on the future. And while we spend a lot of time focused on the future, we've taken time to learn about the past and the champions of Tampa's days gone by. Community leaders and visionaries like former Mayor Governor Bob Martinez, sports writer Tom McEwen, Leonard Levy, who chaired the task force to bring the Super Bowl 18 to Tampa many years ago, and of course George Steinbrenner, who was instrumental in the early days in the effort, as was Hugh Culverhouse. Subsequently, that banner of great Tampa Bay sports leadership has been carried forth by the Glazer family, Hal Steinbrenner, Jeff Vinnick with the Lightning, and now most recently with Doug Ostrover and Mark Lipschutz, the new owners of the Tampa Bay Lightning. They too also all believed. And we pledge to continue that tradition of sports excellence and meaningful involvement throughout the community, serving as more than a baseball team, using our team as a foundation to make Tampa a better place to work, live, learn, and play. In the coming days, you'll see the first renderings of our new development and ballpark, the new forever home of the Tampa Bay Rays that will serve as a catalyst for this new community. It's a bold vision and one that belongs and befits to this opportunity. We will share more renderings in the weeks and months ahead, and more importantly, engage in in-depth community conversations. We want to hear what the community has to say. We will go far and wide to ask questions, to learn, to take feedback, and have community huddles throughout the region to learn how to make our project the right, perfect public-private partnership. What will not change is our commitment to deliver a generational project that will benefit everyone and change this region forever. We are grateful for everybody's support here today in the city, in the county, and the state, and our community at whole. I'm grateful to our ownership group, and as this gathering illustrates, this is a big moment for Tampa Bay. This is an opportunity to make a statement together as a community, and all of us here today plan to do just that. Thank you.
Good job. Well, great job, and I just want to make sure to acknowledge, I mean, you heard from the Commissioner, obviously President Atwater, Ken Babby. We also have Mayor of Tampa, Jane Castor. Thank you for being here. Members of the Hillsborough County Commission, as well as Hillsborough College Board of Trustees. And then we also have with the Rays, we have Patrick Zalewski, we have Fred Ridley, and I know we have some other folks. And so I want to thank you guys for your commitment to making baseball thrive in Tampa Bay. So I think you guys are going to be impressed when you see the vision and some of the renderings about what they're looking to do. You know, like I said, we need to have baseball in Tampa Bay, but this is a type of vision that will ensure that baseball can succeed in Tampa Bay over the long term. Okay, do we have any questions back there? Well, I think that's something that the Rays are working with the local communities over. I don't know that that's been finalized by any stretch, and obviously there'll be discussion on that. But I know that they are working with that. Well, state money, you know, in terms of baseball, you know, is not something that, you know, that we've done. But I think when you look at like HCC, the reimagining, you know, you look at some of the buildings need massive amounts of deferred maintenance. Well, I'd rather put that money to the reimagined campus than trying to rehab some of the old buildings. And so I think that, you know, with what President Atwater envisions for the possibilities, obviously we can move that deferred maintenance to creating that. But then also I think in terms of the legislature, I think you're going to have a much easier time getting support, because I think people are going to see that, yeah, this is something that's really, really exciting. Now, we also do things like we would do in any project in terms of our Department of Transportation. We do ingress, egress. You know, the reality is this is kind of a convenient location, because you look, people in Hillsborough can come. But I look at like where I grew up in Dunedin, it's easier for me to get here probably than to get to the Trop, right? And so the North Pinellas people, it's easy, but you still come from Southern Pinellas, go over the bridge. You got people from Polk County coming in greater numbers as a result. Pasco. So I think that from that vantage point, you know, I think that's good for the team. But then we also need to make sure that people can get in and out. And so we do that typically on any of these big projects. And so we'll be looking to help with that for sure. Yes. Well, I mean, you know, the Bright Line train, as I think most people here know, you know, that's a privately funded enterprise. And I think if you look at that, it's something that a lot of people who've ridden it in South Florida like. I think it's a high quality product, but it's also something that, you know, if the government were to do that, we would hemorrhage money, right? And so that's why I always said, look, you guys, if you do it, great. And I know they're interested in doing it. I'm not sure what the financing would look like on that, but I think the question is you know, is Brightline, the parent company, are they going to, you know, be willing to put money up to be able to get that train over? I mean, I know that they have it going to the airport, and then the question is, like, do you do convention center, Disney, and then where do you do it here? So, but that ultimately is something that is a private endeavor. I know they've worked on trying to get like the feds to do some stuff, and that's fine for them to do. But we as a state, you know, I've got to build highways for all these people coming down, right? I mean, I'm building I-75 expansion, I-4. We did huge on I-4. It's amazing. We're going to do all that. That is something that I know that Floridians are going to be using. I think some of the other stuff, you know, you get into like the cost overruns if it's taxpayer, and it's just like it's not worked in a lot of places. The fact that it's private, you know, they have to make those decisions and make it work. So we'll see what they end up doing. Yes, ma'am. Well, no. So this will qualify for Opportunity Zone. Yeah, absolutely. You know, how much is it worth? It's like, you know, I don't know. I mean, like, you know, you walk around right now, what the use is. How much will it be worth if this vision comes into reality? Obviously, it would be worth a heck of a lot more. How does that benefit the community apart from being able to like take your family there, to have events there, apart from what the Rays are doing, to shop, to go to dinner, to do all that, to have a place to be? You know, it obviously is going to help the economy without question. I mean, I don't think that there's any way you can look and see. And I think the thing that impressed me about what the Rays are doing is, you know, they've looked around the country, and not just baseball, because, you know, you have soccer. Like there's a Miami soccer, they're kind of doing the similar thing. So you look to see, okay, what's the formula to be able to make it a place that people are going to go? You know, Yogi Berra again said, you know, if people don't want to come to the ballpark, no one's going to stop them, right? And so it's like you got to draw people. And in this day and age, drawing people is more than just having, you know, used to be you could have a stadium. You used to have those multi-purpose stadiums, like in kind of the middle of nowhere, big parking lots, and you know, people would go. I don't know that could work nowadays, right? Certainly in this area, it's kind of a blessing for us because people can go to the beach. They can do all these other things, right? They can go to Busch Gardens, all these different things. So you're competing for that. You know, I think I was in my last year at Harvard Law School, the year that the Red Sox broke the curse of the Bambino in 2004. And I will tell you, having grown up down here, which I loved, and I wouldn't have traded that, but like every single person in New England was keyed on the Red Sox. I mean, it was just, this was generation after generation. They've been waiting for this. Franchise has been in existence over a century. It was just a major thing. But like that's one of the things they do. It's like that's the muscle memory. You do baseball. Here in Miami is faced similar. You know, you get pulled in all different directions for leisure. So creating something that I think is really compelling, that's going to start to become almost second nature. Well, hey, we're going to go there, and you know you can have a good time. That even if they're not going for baseball, it will end up helping baseball. We're not doing any taxes at the state level. We've never done a tax since I've been governor, and, you know, I got another year left, and so just you guys can take that to the bank. We will not do that. Now, well, first of all, how could I do that? I mean, think about it. Like, that's my inclination philosophically, but look at Florida's fiscal. You know, when I became governor, we had $1 trillion economy. Now it's $1.8 trillion. We've cut tax. We've eliminated business rent tax and other things like that. And yet, you look at our revenue from the most recent month, we came in $500 million over estimate. And that's not because we're taxing people. It's because we've created a good environment. You know, we've paid down 180 years as a state. If you take all the taxpayer financed debt that we owed, we've paid off 50% just since I've been governor in 7 years. We've tripled the rainy day fund. You know, we've done all this. So clearly from the state level, you know, we wouldn't be needing to do that. But, you know, it's like, you know, the president comes and asks for appropriation from the legislature. I think he's going to be more successful in the future because of what they're doing with this project. And so I think their potential, you know, goes up, you know, dramatically as a result of that. And, you know, that'd be, you know, how those appropriations come. I mean, I've been very generous to our universities, and Weatherford knows that. I mean, so the USF, which is good, and I'm happy to do it. So, you know, I've been supportive across the board. And we brag about we're the top-rated public university system in America, and it's true, we have been for a number of years. But our state college system is ranked usually #1, but certainly very high. And oftentimes they're doing programs that may be even a little more applicable to people's ability to earn an income and to be successful when they get out of school. So I've been a big supporter of it. We've done a lot of different things. But I think this is the type of thing, like when people see a compelling vision, you know, if you're a legislator and you see this as something where you can kind of help, you know, rather than rehab an old building, let's reimagine, I think you're going to get a lot of support. Yes.
Governor, this may be a better question for the commissioner, but a lot of us have been down this road before. What's different about this project, and what's different about this ownership group that will make this a success opposed to the 3 or 4 other false starts we've already had?
Do you want to come up and talk? I mean, I can just tell you, like, I wasn't necessarily, you know, not necessarily, I wasn't a part at all with any of that. And in the past, obviously, I follow some of this stuff, and so I see kind of fits and starts, right? I see the community tension. I saw a lot of that stuff. What I would say is, I think you got a group now that really believes in the mission of the team. That wants to bring home, you know, championship caliber baseball here, has a great understanding of what that means in terms of for the community, but also understands how do you get to that point? What else do you need to have in terms of this overall vision beyond just the baseball park? So I think it's been something that's been very, very compelling. And like, you know, look, if it was something that wasn't compelling, like I would say that, you know, I wasn't sold on it, right? But I think that when people see it, I think they're going to realize, you know, the potential is going to be huge. Rob, you want to?
You did better than I was going to.
Okay. But I'll tell you, the commissioner, you know, because remember, they were talking about splitting the season between Montreal and Tropicana. And I'm just thinking to myself, that's not like really even having a team. And, you know, he was just like, we need it in Florida. Like we're committed to that. We've got to be here. And, you know, it's like, obviously, you know, you have Los Angeles, New York. I mean, you have a handful of markets that obviously are bigger. But I can tell you as a guy that has bought television ads in this market, it's expensive. I mean, you've got a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs I'm reaching on those ads when we were doing them, you know, in 22 and 2018. So this is, and it's obviously a growing market. And, you know, if you think about, I mean, when I was growing up, like Pasco County, I don't know what the population is, but I mean, it's obviously gone up dramatically. If you look at what's happened with Hillsborough, I mean, you know, people that are willing to move from all over the country because they love the quality of life here in the Tampa Bay area. So, you know, that's just, that's great momentum. There's a lot of opportunities. And so I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a really big deal.
You know, I'm not big on predictions about last chance, more chances. I do think that the governor made an important point. You know, Florida is vibrant. There are alternatives in Florida. And I do think we're at a point in the history of the club that something needs to get done. But I would be hesitant to characterize it as, you know, it's this or never again.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. I know there's going to be more news to come in the ensuing days, weeks, and months, but I want to thank everyone with the Tampa Bay Rays for their commitment to Tampa Bay. I want to thank President Atwater for his vision about how Hillsborough College can take it to the next level. And thanks to Commissioner of Baseball for coming down here and for really caring about baseball in this area. So thanks, everybody.